How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the F1 2019 Career Mode. In this episode we're going to be doing the Bahrain Grand Prix, and as we open up here we see that we have one development that's failed, and that is the engine power, but both of the aero upgrades have been completed and will be put onto the car for this Grand Prix. So I'm very happy about that because it means the downforce is going to be better, which means hopefully the corners should be easier to navigate, especially around Bahrain with some tight turns, and especially that left-hander, that left-hander that you probably know about, that's like really long and then just goes extremely tight. Yeah, that one is pretty bad, it has to be said. So I do end up just redoing that engine upgrade, and so that should come in for the next Grand Prix in China. But at the moment we're still the third worst car on the grid. We finished in P12 in Australia, which is a pretty good position for a Toro Rosso, and better than our objectives as well. So we've done pretty well. We're the only team so far to make an upgrade to our car, if albeit only a minor one. But we're going to head into Bahrain now. Skip the practice sessions completely. Well, I didn't. I obviously did them. But let's get into qualifying.
Bahrain qualifying is nearly upon us, and the drivers look as if they're all geared up to go. I expect we'll be getting underway very shortly. The competition is certainly heating up as we head into today's qualifying. Some impressive times showing up during the previous practice sessions. Anthony Davidson, do you think we can expect a similar level of skill to be showcased during today's qualifier?
Well, I certainly hope so. The competition here is extremely tight, and I think we might see some very close times today. Remember, practice isn't just about fastest lap times though, it's about optimization, it's about ratifying your decisions. No one's going to be sweating small mistakes here and there, but in qualifying that all changes. You need to nail that perfect lap or face the consequences, and believe me, that's a lot of pressure.
So then we start off our first run in qualifying. Of course we're doing short qualifying, as I'm not going to keep reminding you, but this Bahrain track has some very, very hard turns. Like, it's got quite a few, turns that are just so tight and hard to get round. This not being one of them. This one's much easier turn, to be fair, but it's still a pretty big turn. It's almost like it's more than a 90-degree turn. Not 90 degree, 90 degree. It's not quite, it's more than a 90-degree turn, surely. And this one as well, this is a really tight turn. I kind of cut the corner with that one, as you can see. But heading into this left-hander that I was on about just, I absolutely hate this turn. Like, as you can see, I have to flash back and try it again, because this turn is honestly the most annoying turn in probably the entirety of entirety of the Formula 1 calendar for 2019, because I in the end have to brake so early, and I do get round it quite well, but I still run wide, which is it's just mad. But as we come across, it's only good enough for P13, which at the time was the slowest on track, and it does end up being the slowest on track as well. So I do have to go out again to try and get a better time. And as you can see, into that left-hander again, I just completely cut the corner. But we've already shaved, 5 tenths off our time, 6 tenths, 7 tenths off the time that I put in the first lap. So obviously that first lap I did was absolutely awful. We are in P14 at the moment, which again at the time was the worst on track. I believe this run was actually just straight after the last one. I don't think I went in for new tyres. I think I genuinely just carried on this set of soft tyres, which is not something I normally do, because obviously the tyres are worn. It means it's going to take time off your lap time. But at the end, the lap I did before that was so bad that I managed to get 8 tenths faster than my previous lap, which was P15. So at the time, only better than Kubica. So I literally did a lap time that was the worst on track, and then the second lap time I did was only second worst, which wasn't great. So I go out for one last lap, as you can see, and we're still P17. Going into that double left-hander again. It's two left-hand turns, isn't it? One is just a lot tighter than the other. We're already 4/10 of a second down. We've already got 4/10 of a second less off our last lap, so we are doing a lot better on this fresh set of softs. Also as well, Daniel Ricciardo hasn't had the best qualifying either, because he's currently P16, which is just one place above me, as I'm currently in P17. But we're going around the last couple of corners here. We've only got 3/10 off the time now, but as you can see, the straight line speed has actually done us a favour there, which is not something it normally does in a Toro Rosso. With it being a Honda engine, the straight line speed isn't the greatest when it's just there by itself. But in the end, we do half a second better, and we end up in P15. But as you can see, as we go across the line, we ditched last lap. I wasn't going for any sort of time. As we cross the line, as you can see, we end up in P18 again. So only better than the two Williams. It doesn't really reflect our car on paper, as my teammate Alex Albon gets P14. So again, he out-qualifies me. Lewis Hamilton on pole. But as we go down the order here, you can see that my qualifying time was just not very good. Again, only better than the two Williams. Only 2/10 off George Russell. So not the greatest qualifying session.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. We go racing today around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit, with 15 corners and 2 good passing opportunities into turns 1 and 4. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left tyre into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. And with me as usual is Anthony Davidson. Now let's talk about Charles Leclerc. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Hülkenberg, Magnussen, Norris and Sergio Perez, Grosjean, Stroll, Kimi Raikkonen and Albon, Butler, Faber, Daniel Ricciardo and Lawrence. Russell and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So we're starting P18 on the grid, and again, the strategy that my engineer gave to me was actually the best strategy, the default one, the one stop. Normally, when they give me a strategy, I can alter it slightly and take a little bit of time off it, but for the last couple of races, it's actually been spot on what the engineer has given me in terms of the one-stop strategy, so I actually stick with that. But here we go then, as the race is about to start, the 5 red lights are out, and we get off to a skippy start. I had to skip again. It literally took me about 10 attempts to do this start properly, and as I'm talking right now, this is lagging like crazy. But as you can see there, we made a massive dive bomb and we managed to get up into P13, so we made up about 5 positions there in the first corner, so not too shabby. All of the flashbacks were well worth it, because every other time I was hitting someone every time, but that time was just so clean. So we're up into P13 then. We're ahead of Lance Stroll, we're ahead of a McLaren, our teammate, we're ahead of Daniel Ricciardo as well. And now we're going to be ahead of Kimi Raikkonen as we make a move to the inside of him, and we get ahead of him, and now we go into this just awful turn, and I, as you can see, first time like I have with every other turn so far in this career mode, absolutely screwed it up. But as you can see, on the actual attempt, I managed to do it well and actually pass Sergio Perez. I forced him off the track enough for him to need to slow down and give me the position. So there you go, we make another overtake there, and now we're catching up to the 4 cars in front of us: Norris, Hulkenberg, Grosjean and Magnussen are all ahead of us in one big fight. So we're now looking to try and keep away from Sergio Perez and get in this fight. But as you can see, Sergio Perez is still right up the backside of me, but can't get ahead of me really. As we move on to lap 2 now, and again we go into the left-hander. Grosjean went wide, we went very narrow, but we have caught up to them a little bit more so. We don't have DRS. As you can see, I have got a lot of fuel. That is because I actually forgot to change the amount of fuel in my car, so we actually had a lot of rich mix available to us, even though that meant the car was heavier. So I don't know what the balance is really, but we're now right in this fight. We do take it a little bit wide, and Sergio Perez does manage to catch up to us as well. He goes up the inside of us, and we try and turn into the corner, but he's there. We have to take it so wide, and in the end we do stay ahead of him. We move on now to the next lap, lap 3, and Sergio Perez has got ahead. He's just too fast for us on a straight, and I just had to let him through really, and that would probably benefit me better. But we go into the double left-hander once again, and as you can see, I completely cut him off there. I get in front of him, no contact or anything, completely cut him off, and he has to back off so much that I end up backing him up into his teammate Lance Stroll. Now we're at the end of lap 3, going on to lap 4. We have DRS on Lando Norris, and we are catching up to him fast. And look at the 3 ahead, all taking the inside line, and I also take the inside line ahead of Lando Norris, and we get in front of him, and we're now in this fight. Grosjean, Magnussen and Hulkenberg ahead of us. Grosjean and Magnussen there in a fight there. We try and go up the inside of Magnussen, but we bang wheels, and in the end we get spun off slightly, but it doesn't compromise us too much. We just end up a bit further behind them. Lando Norris is right behind us, but in the end we don't need to worry about him that much. We're focusing ahead of us, and the 2 cars and the Renault ahead of us. As we go to the double left-hander, as you can see, we take it a little bit wide as we try and go on the inside of Magnussen, and this allows Lando Norris to get a much better exit out the corner and get back ahead of us using DRS. But you know what? I wasn't having that, and I go right back up the inside of him and cut him off slightly as well. We don't have the greatest exit from the corner again because of that, but we do stay ahead of the McLaren. And this is turning into a very decent battle, as you can see. Lando Norris is still right behind us. The 2 Hasses and the Renault ahead of us as well. But, you know, this is turning into a great midfield battle. It's a battle for P7. And I finished the last race in P12, so, you know, I'm thinking in this race, yeah, I could probably get some, you know, maybe scrape into the points positions here, you know, try and get some points from this Grand Prix, as we were doing quite well. In this Grand Prix so far, it has to be said. But as you can see, we have fallen behind those cars quite dramatically, so I decided to come in for my one and only pit stop of Magnussen and Norris also coming. Grosjean and Hulkenberg stay out, so at the moment we're in between Magnussen and Norris, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see where we come out here. We get in, we put on the medium tyres, and we get out straight away. And as you can see ahead of us there, that's a Red Bull, and we've got a Haas behind us, which means that we've overtaken Kevin Magnussen in the pit lane. So that Red Bull ahead of us is Pierre Gasly, and then we come out of the pits, and Magnussen is behind us. We come out in P16, so we've gained a place there. On Magnussen, Norris comes out just behind Magnussen as well, so no change there. But look how far ahead we are. Look how far ahead of Magnussen we are. But as all this is going on, this is Sebastian Vettel leading the race as well currently. But as you can hear, just listen to his engine. His engine's gone again, which means that for the 2nd race in a row, Sebastian Vettel has had to retire from the race due to a mechanical problem. And it's just like real life. You have to feel sorry for him a little bit here, because that means that he's got no points after the first 2 races, and he's probably already out of the title race. We go into lap 7 now, and Grosjean and Hulkenberg have both pit, and they've both come out ahead of us, albeit quite a lot closer to us than they were when we pitted. So they've both come out ahead of us, but Magnussen is still behind us, and still quite a way behind us as well. And we are trying to fight Grosjean now instead. Grosjean in the end has got away from us, and now Magnussen has caught up to us massively. The Ferrari engine in that Haas car definitely helping out. We're in P8 now, and it's a net P8 because obviously we're ahead of Magnussen, so we've gained a place there. Yeah, we had quite a poor race last time around, but this time we're actually in a decent points position here. But we still have a Haas car right behind us. We're currently in the middle of both Haas cars. We have a look here from a different angle. Kevin Magnussen coming up right behind us here, going up our inside using DRS, but just can't quite get ahead of us. We touch wheel slightly as he's still got the inside line, but we just keep ahead of him just about. He tries to come back up our inside again, but we cut him off. And look at how far back he has to drop. Just look at him come past the camera here. Look at how far back he is now. He had to slow down a lot there to make sure he didn't crash into us here. Moving on to lap 12 now, so we've only got 2 laps left of the Grand Prix, and I run so wide into that corner that allows Kevin Magnussen to try and come up behind me, and he does, and gets ahead of me using DRS. So Magnussen's back ahead of me, but I go down his inside there. Oh, I touch wheels with him again. It's a very, very feisty battle between me and Kevin Magnussen in the Haas car, as we're just fighting over 8th place. We're fighting over 4 points. Who gets 4 points and who gets 2 points. We have a racing point just coming up behind us here as well. As you look on the replay at the move that just happened, Magnussen up the inside of us, but then look at this camera angle. I turn, sort of oversteer a little bit into Magnussen's car, but in the end no damage is done as we only bang wheels. We now move on to lap 13. We've just crossed the line at the end of lap 12. Magnussen tries to get ahead of us again. We're on the inside though, so we manage to stay ahead, but we take the corner so wide, and as we come back onto the track there, Magnussen completely cuts us off and takes off half of my front wing, which means that now Lance Stroll just waltzes past me so easily, and we've got a bit of a problem now because we can't turn the car. As you can see, the car is so hard to turn. So as we look on the replay here, Magnussen is up the side of us. He tries to drive into us a little bit there, but because we're so far inside there, we take the corner so wide there, we come off the track, and we actually spun Magnussen out even as well. But now the right side of my front wing is missing completely, and yeah, Lance Stroll instantly capitalises on it and gets ahead of us. We go down the inside of him, but there's nothing we can do there to stay ahead of Lance Stroll, and my car is now screwed basically. We now go into just after the double left-hander in the straight. Kimi Räikkönen is now coming up to the back of us, and eventually our car's just not good enough. We have to let him pass because I can't turn the car. I try and go up the inside of him. Really, I'm using him just to make the turn better. But yeah, in the end, Räikkönen gets ahead of us there. He is a bit slower than us, so we do catch up to him in some ways. We try and go ahead of him, but yeah, we run really wide into that corner. And again, he stays ahead of us. So our race is completely ruined at this point, really, because Magnussen, why? Magnussen, why have you done this to me? We were having such a good race, such a good battle, and Magnussen had to go and just ruin it all, didn't he? Because now I'm driving without half a front wing. I'm not making another pit stop. I didn't see the point. I didn't really want to, I didn't want to finish in last, because if I'd have made another pit stop, that's exactly where I would have finished. Because the fact that the incident happened on turn 1, it means that all of this would have happened in lap 30. Yeah, we would have been in last place, and now we're going up to the end of the final lap. Sergio Perez gets past us. We go extremely wide as Kubica, Norris, and Russell all get past us. We bang into the back of Russell's car there. Ricciardo gets past us, Weber gets past us, and Butler gets past us. And at this point I'm thinking, right, there's no way I'm letting Devon Butler finish ahead of me. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. So we just lunge down the inside of him. Despite not being able to turn the car, he has to slow down massively. And that actually allows my teammate Alex Albon to get past him as well. So we come to the checker flag here in a very sorry P16.
Race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Anthony Davidson, what helped them deliver this result, do you think?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So as you can see there, Lewis Hamilton ended up winning the Grand Prix with Charles Leclerc in second and Valtteri Bottas in third place. We finished in P16, which is extremely poor for us. Despite the race we had, we should have finished way higher, but of course, Kevin Magnussen ruined it and also ruined it for himself. He made a second stop as well, and he finished in last place in the end. Of course, Sebastian Vettel had to retire, but we still finished ahead of our teammate and ahead of Devon Butler. So at the end of the day, it was a win for us mentally, but yeah, not a great result for us, and let's hope we can make it better in China. And that is actually going to end off this episode of the F1 2019 career mode. I forgot to record anything after that screen, so unfortunately you're just getting a black screen for the outro. But if you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you like what you see and you want to see more. And if you don't want to miss anything, then hit that little bell next to the subscribe button and you'll get notified every time that I upload. Guys, until next time, thanks so much for watching. Peace.